Hi there! So, the Rocket League Tournaments beta has hit on February 21st until February 23rd. By the time you watch this video, the beta is probably over. But I figured I'll show you folks what this beta has to offer, especially for players who currently rock the game only on console. Mostly because the tournaments themselves are not the only change that came with this beta build. We'll start with the main attraction, which are the tournaments themselves. Firstly, when you click on the Tournaments button, you'll get 4 options: Find Tournament, My Tournaments, Create Tournament and Join Private. We shall start with Find Tournaments. Once you click that, on the top left you'll have 4 team sizes to choose from. A very important note to keep in mind is that you cannot join any tournament if you're by yourself. You have to have at least one player to form a team with you. There's no solo queuing. If you're all by yourself, the only tournament size you're able to participate in are 1 vs 1s. For this scenario I choose a 2v2 tourney. From here on out I'm able to search for a tournament by name, or I can enable certain filters. The filters start with the minimum required rank to enter this tournament. If you want to look for a challenge, you can set the minimum bar as high as you want. If you want variety in ranks, you can set this bar as low as you want. However, the system knows your rank, at least for a specific playlist that exists in competitive Rocket League. I'm not sure how the system handles this for 4v4 tourneys though, since nobody really has a 4v4 rank. But this means, if you're ranked as Champion 1 in 2v2s and look for a tournament that has its highest rank set to Diamond 3 or lower, the system forbids you to register, as you don't meet the requirements. The same goes for tournaments outside of your skill tier. If you want to face champions as a Silver 2 player, you cannot join any tournament that has its minimum rank set to Gold 1, for example. Of course, there's plenty of tournaments which grant access for various skill tier ranges. You can also filter for certain bracket sizes. The bracket sizes start at 8, go up to 16, 32, 64 and end at 128. You can also filter for certain game modes, meaning there will be tournaments for the regular mode soccer, but also tourneys for hoops, snow day, rumble and drop shot. Lastly, you may select a region to grant you the best ping. Once you've found a tournament of your liking and your party has a set amount of members, in my case now 2 players for a 2v2, you click on that specific tournament. You can see the name of the tournament, the game mode, how many teams have signed up so far, and when it's supposed to start and who created it. Also, you're able to view the settings of that tournament. You can see how many games a standard round requires, the final round, what the tiebreaker will be, what region this tournament will be played in, what platform restrictions it includes, and what the rank requirements are. With the A button, or the X button for PS4, you can cycle from settings to arenas and see what arenas are eligible for that tournament. All of these listed arenas will be chosen randomly. If you cycle one more time, you can see what mutators this tournament has activated, if any. When you're fine with everything, you click the register button on the top right. After that, a window will pop up where you have to enter your name. I believe there's no profanity filter, but you can also use upper and lowercase letters. Additionally, you can name your team differently for each tournament. You don't have to stick with one name. The team needs to have at least 3 letters though. Once you've done this, a timer will be counting down on the top right of your screen. When the registration timer hits 0, the brackets will be calibrated. After a short loading time, you can see every team participating in this tournament. When the tournament is in full course and you have finished your game, you can have a look at the bracket. You can click on any team and see their performance in every round of this tournament. Unfortunately though, there's no way for you to figure out what players are behind their respective team name until you face them. A listing of those players in the same window would be a really cool addition. When the timer runs out and the tournament starts, you will automatically be pulled into your first match. It also shows your opponent's team name in that same window in the top right corner. How this will translate though in the final build I'm not really sure of, because currently rank play is disabled, so you can only be either in the main menu, in training or in a local match. So in this case you don't have to worry, you get automatically pulled into your game. Maybe rank play will be disabled in the future when you've already signed up for a tournament, otherwise you would either get pulled out of a ranked game or people might not show up in the tournament because they are currently playing a ranked game. If you find a tournament that is scheduled for the next day, the register button is changed to a subscribe button. That way you can basically favorite a tournament and look it up under My Tournaments the next day. You can only sign up for tournaments 15 minutes prior to its start. As I said, you can set up tournaments way into the future, but the sign up will always start 50 minutes before. unless you set up a tournament in 5 minutes from now. Then the registering window is open immediately. But remember, a tournament will more likely fill up when you give the participants time to register. So better not set up a tourney in 2 minutes or so, but rather at least in 15 if not 20 minutes. Now we come to My Tournaments. This is actually really straightforward. You have the mentioned Subscribe tab that lists all tournaments you've subscribed to, and it has a Created tab which is self-explanatory. When creating a tournament, you're given a fair amount of options. Firstly, you have to name your tourney. The next step is interesting though. Once you set up the tournament, you don't have to do anything, nor do you need to be present for it to start or finish it. You can technically set up a tournament and everything will be done automatically. Let's say you want to schedule a tournament for tomorrow. You click on Start Date and set the date. From here you can select any date from today to a week after. When clicking on the time, you're met with 3 boxes for the hour, the minute and the time of day. It seems currently though that only the hour timer is able to be set with direct inputs from your keyboard. The minute timer has to be set by pressing the arrows one at a time. I guess this will be fixed in the future. In the arena rotation you decide which maps will be chosen. They will be picked randomly afterwards for every match. You may select the team size and the bracket size. Both the standard match and the final match can be best of 1, best of 3, best of 5 or best of 7. You can also select mutators or leave them off. Lastly, you can decide whether the tourney can be found publicly via the browser or if you want to make it a private tournament with a name and password. The requirements are divided into 3 options, all of which from a PC perspective. You can disable cross-platform, you can have a cross-platform PS4, or you can have a cross-platform Xbox One and Switch. This means you can only have cross-platform with PC and PS4, or PC and Xbox and Switch. Sony didn't want to do it, nobody knows, that's how it is though. Then you have to select the minimum required rank and the maximum required rank. At last you select the region and you can create your tournament. You're also supposed to be able to spectate ongoing games only as the tournament's host, but this hasn't worked yet in my testing. I'm not sure if this is supposed to work in the beta or maybe a feature in the future. Now that this is out of the way, let's have a look at some interesting new options. The gameplay tab has a couple new additions. There is the client send rate, which can be set to default, medium and low. Those are supposed to limit how many packets per second your client sends to the server. Then there is server send rate, which acts the same way as the above. Lastly, there is bandwidth limit, which can be set to default, low or high. This limits the rate at which the server sends data to your client. But I cannot really give you any more information on these ones because I'm not sure whether it's good or bad to send lots or few packets from either side. There's also an option to check connection quality indicators though. This enables an on-screen notification when experiencing connection issues, for example. Moving on, the camera now has presets, although this seems rather dull. You have a default preset, a balanced preset and a wide angle preset, all of which are pre-made and can't be changed. Although when you change them, you do have a custom preset, but also only one. And this is a weird addition to me because it should let you create several custom presets for you to experiment with, right? To switch back and forth. But the way it is now, you have your custom ones and you have 3 presets that, don't give you much to work with really. The interface tab has now a nameplate scaling option beginning at 100%. It can be lowered to 50% or up to 200%. Now there's also a match notification option. This filters which types of game messages will appear on screen. By default it's set to all, obviously. Time updates only for some reason act the same way, no changes to the default settings at all. Then there's kickoffs only. This will get rid of all messages excluding the kickoff countdown. Unfortunately, that will also get rid of who scores. And while it's good that it doesn't show the huge text of 1 minute remaining, 30 seconds remaining or the 10-second countdown, this 10-second countdown will also not make any noise. So while it's cool to not have these huge text in front of you, getting rid of the audio cue is not a good solution. You may hear the crowd counting down, but this is really not the same.
No.
A great addition is the ability to have in-game music now. In the audio tab, you can decide whether you want to continue to listen to Rocket League's music. By selecting off, everything stays as is. It doesn't mean that the music is turned off, it's just the normal way it always has been. Then you have matches only, but that wording though is kinda odd, because while you indeed can listen to music in matches, it will still also be present in the main menu, so it's not really only matches. Then there's training only. Also here, the music plays in the menu, but also in training as the setting suggests. Lastly, there's the option Always On. And for all of you people out there who can't get enough of those sick beats, you can listen to those Rocket League songs non-stop. To end the video, only when you go into free play and then to options you can disable the unlimited boost in free play. And that is all I could find. If you guys have any more information, feel free to add them in the comments. But if those settings will actually make an appearance in the newest update, I do not know. What we know though is that these changes exist and we'll see them eventually. Thank you and good night. Signing off.
Supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle card.
I can't believe what I've seen!
Bless your heart.
Kinda sucks, I wish there was an announcer. I've been waiting all week to see this. I got a teeth. Let me get a hot dog down in front.
Fast car. 60 seconds.
Second, I just sat down and got a hot dog.
Get to it.
He's my favorite player.
Get the